Hi there and welcome to Covey Fabrics DIY channel. My name is Amy and I'm visiting you today from Artisan Upholstery Studio right here on YouTube. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very easy headboard. The one that I'm making is for a teenager starting university in the fall. He needs one that's a little bit more grown up than the one that he currently has, but because he's a guy, he doesn't want anything too fancy. So we're going to make a very easy headboard, one that you'll be able to do at home. So this is the fabric we've selected for our headboard. It's a chocolate brown Krypton fabric. The headboard is going to be 70 inches wide by 48 inches high. And I have to take into consideration the baseboard, which sticks out and is 10 inches high. So I'm doing my measurements on the plywood first. Now this is OSB and it's very, very thin. So it's only 1/4 of an inch. So that's to keep the costs low. And all we need to do is cut it to the measurements that we want our headboard to be. So I'm cutting this 70 inches and it's already 48 inches, making it super easy. And you can get that cut at the hardware store. So next I'm going to be putting on, these are 2x6s that I just had lying around. You can use 2x4s, they'll work just as well. So I'm going to cut that down, measuring first, cutting it down to size. And then I can attach these to the OSB. So I'm just using regular screws and I'm going to attach it from the front underneath up into those 2x6s. Now you can see at the bottom I left a gap, and that gap is 10 inches to accommodate the baseboard, which I had to work around. You want the 2x6s to lay flat against the wall. And so what happens with that thickness is that it looks like the headboard is much thicker, that the foam is much thicker than it really is. So that costs a lot less in the foam that you have to pad it up with. It also creates a lot of structural integrity to the headboard, so it makes it stronger. So I'm flipping it over here so that I can add more screws to the front. You do need to have quite a few screws in there to keep this all together and secure. So the next step is to put screws in on an angle into the wood so that they are attaching both of those 2x6s together. So that will make the headboard less wobbly and a lot more secure. So the trick is to start the screw off straight and then move it on an angle to get that screw into both boards nice and secure. So you can see that's a lot less wobbly now with all of those boards secured. So you can see how nice and thick our headboard is going to be. It's going to look great up against the wall. And so the next step is to mark out where your foam is going to go. So I'm marking out a line. So this line represents the top of the mattress. So anything below this line doesn't need to have any foam. And above that, we want to foam it up so that when the mattress butts up against this headboard, you can feel all of the padding up on top of the mattress, and we're not wasting any down below. So I'm marking out here that seam that goes across our headboard. I'm marking mine 10 inches, but you can make yours whatever you'd like. This is a great way to get rid of any scrap pieces of foam that you might have lying around. So I'm using 1-inch foam for the main body of the headboard and 2-inch foam for the top. So you can go ahead and staple the 2-inch foam along that line that you made. And you're going to want to put some bonded polyester down for added softness and to even out any of the foam that you put together. So you can measure and cut the fabric for the top piece of the headboard. And because our headboard's only 48 inches, I'm going to be able to cut the top and the bottom out of the same piece of fabric. So the top is the top and the bottom is going to be the bottom of the headboard. So you can just staple that on, and of course you've made sure that it's enough to wrap around to staple onto the back side of this headboard. So once you've got that stapled down, you can go ahead and staple the main body of the headboard down as well. It just goes right along the same line, covering up the staples that you put on first. Now after you put your staples on, you're going to want to use a 1/2-inch cardboard strip just to give a nice clean edge. And now we're ready to attach our 1-inch foam. You can see that I left a little lip hanging over the edge just to make it a nice soft looking edge when we roll the fabric over. So I've got these extra pieces, so I'm just going to pad up the sides because of course the headboard is going to be wider than the mattress, queen size mattress, but this is going to stick out on either side because that's just the look that I like. So you can tug it to the corners to make it nice and tight across the bottom. And just put one staple on one corner and one staple on the other. So you're pulling it nice and tight to the corners. So you can see how nice and thick our headboard looks. And you're just making sure that you're stapling without making any kind of puckers. Just make it look nice and straight. So you can see that there is a notch there to accommodate the baseboard, and you're just going to staple as best you can around that little curve there. You want it to be rounded, and now you're going to make a pleat at the top corner. Now this is just a straight pleat, so you'll have to cut out some of this fabric so that it doesn't make an unsightly bulge. So cut out enough that you can still roll over without seeing any frayed edges. So you want to make sure the pleats look the same on both sides. So you could trim all the extra fabric off, but because this is going up against a wall, you don't need to finish it much more than that. Just make sure everything's stapled down nicely. So now this is going to be how we attach it to the wall. So you want to measure so that you know exactly where that piece of 2x4 is going to go on the wall. And you're just going to attach it by screwing it on. So the headboard just sits right on top of that 2x4, and you're going to want to add a couple of screws very discreetly at the bottom where the headboard will be covered by the mattress. That'll just keep it in place, and it'll keep it from just hitting the wall and being insecure. So here's our finished headboard. I think it looks fantastic. I think he's going to like it much better than his old headboard, and I think it's going to last for years to come. Very understated, very masculine, very simple. I hope you enjoyed this video.